without further ado, we have a query coming in from Chennai. Mr. Balasubramania writes to us, holds about 1150 shares of Canara Bank at 96 rupees a piece, 1050 shares of Bank of India at 45 odd rupees, also has 250 shares of Sun Pharma at 500 rupees. So diversified portfolio in the sense that the three stocks that he has, one in the pharmaceutical space, a couple of them in the banking end of things. However, Mayuresh, the fact is that he's into the public sector banks, which over the longer period have destroyed a fair amount of wealth. Let's see, what your view would be on his portfolio.
Afternoon, Mangalam. You're absolutely right. What has probably happened over the last few years is that the consistency that one really expects from an earnings perspective has just not come through for the PSU banks. So they have been saddled with a lot of issues related to asset quality, provisioning required on their books, lower capital adequacy, which means that the balance sheet expansion at times when it needed the most is probably not there. And the entire perspective in terms of managing your spreads as well. So I think if you have a holistic view and a 360-degree perspective on this, I think a couple of quarters numbers probably come out to be better, but they again fall back in terms of the consistency that one really expects. So even right now, I think Canara Bank, Bank of India had a reasonable set of numbers that got reported in Q1, also for Q2. But to a large extent, again, the consistency is something which is clearly lacking. And therefore, I think the entire premise of sticking with the larger private sector banks, something like HDFC Bank, where the growth story still exists, the earnings trajectory remains extremely strong, and the pedigree in terms of all these fact check points remains steadfast. I think it will be better off staying with the larger private sector banks, being growth investors that we are. Specifically on Sun Pharma, again, I think the typical issues that is troubling this stock has been its FDA-related issues. On the other hand, the specialty pipeline has worked, but again, the higher R&D expenses that go in creating this pipeline and then the monetization part is definitely taking time. So I think the earnings rating, the EPS rating that we've got at our O'Neill methodology is probably lagging for Sun Pharma as well. So I think if he intends to hold on, I think it will go to be a long time for the price recovery to probably happen. My own sense is that sticking with growth stories, larger private sector banks and better rated stocks in the pharma space, at least at this point of time, would probably make a far better risk reward.
We have another query coming in from Dehradun. Mr. MS Adhikari writes to us, holds about 50 shares of UPL at 507 rupees, also has about 40 shares of UTI AMC at 548 rupees, and 35 shares of Rallis at 290 rupees. Mayuresh, looks like a lot of them are now diversifying their portfolios, are investing more. So their queries are, on multiple stocks. UPL as well as Rallis, both from the agri space. The others that he has also in focus, he has shares of UTI AMC, the latest entrant on the AMC space. Did not do too well as far as the IPO price, its performance since the IPO is concerned. What's your view?
No, when it comes specifically, Mangalam, to the agro-related stocks, UPL specifically in terms of the targets that they've given out, both in terms of revenue synergies expected to come through over the next few quarters until the end of FY22, and the cost synergies to play its part as well. I think they're still maintaining their trajectory on that front. But what really needs to be seen is basically the CPC business outlook. And obviously it all depends on the vagaries of weather conditions, both locally and globally as well. So I think the CPC business outlook for the management is extremely positive, remains a key point to watch out for. The other element also is how the Chinese markets will shape up and how LATAM's markets are going to shape up as well. The kind of investments specifically in their proprietary pipeline is expected to have a significant amount of sales accretion, but that is going to take time. And the kind of product launches that they're probably looking in each of their key markets that they're operating out of, whether it's LATAM, Eastern Europe, or even the Indian domestic markets, they're probably looking at 2 or more products. But the earnings has been very, very patchy, Mangalam, I think, and that's where the concern of the street is. And that's where I think the entire issues come to the fore. Again, saddled with some issues related to auditors resigning, so on and so forth, creating some sentimental overhang for the stock. So earnings recovery, both in terms of EPS rating and price recovery, is a must, and that will take some amount of time for consistency come through as well. When it comes to Rallis specifically, I think the international business has been a little bit of a letdown, at least at this point of time, Mangalam. So what has probably happened for a couple of their products, specifically Metribuzin, that has seen pain points in terms of price action, and therefore I think the international drag has resulted in the consolidated numbers actually coming down. The domestic has held up pretty well, so I think that's no two ways about it. But I think the ROEs might just struggle around these current levels at around 13 and a half times because of subdued cash flows from the international business. So yeah, I think price points and then price action and relative strength might actually be a little bit softer for both of them. And I believe that price strength will take some amount of time. UTI AMC, again, I think it has been a poor show after its IPO listing. The space is hotting up. The competition is pretty intense at this point of time. And what probably happens in terms of the returns expectations that one has, both from equity and the debt-related funds, I think that is where the entire onus will be in terms of fresh flows expected to come through. So I think he can hold on, but I think you probably need to look at the price action, which might take time because of the earnings delivery, which might get delayed for a whole host of.
Suman Dhawan writes to us from Mumbai. He holds 912 shares of Aarti Drugs and 309 shares of Laurus Labs. He wants to know whether to hold or sell. Well, he hasn't really mentioned the price at which he has bought these shares, but there has been a sharp rally in all these API names because of the excitement around API growth. So Mayuresh, let me come across to you. The stocks have already seen a sharp surge from the low levels. Aarti Drugs is up 7 times from March lows. Do you expect the outperformance to continue in coming quarters as well?
So Sonal, you're absolutely right. I think the outperformance has been astounding for both these stories, and numbers have justified this kind of steep rise that both these stocks have exhibited. Now, the strong performance for Aarti Drugs in Q1 was exceptional. It was a 280% rise in net profit to 85 odd crores. And again, what you really expect in terms of the key therapies that they are operating out of, anti-diarrhea, vitamins, anti-arthritis. I think all these products and the pipeline that they've created is pretty humongous as well. So I think I'm assuming that if the investor has got into these stocks at lower levels and if he's making a decent gain, I think partially book your profits, because I think the kind of valuations that these stocks are trading at and the kind of moves that stocks like Aarti or even Laurus has done, I think the outperformance will now depend in terms of the expectations of earnings delivery. And they have to keep on beating street expectations by a wide margin to have this outperformance rolled on quarter after quarter. So I think if you can take a little bit back in terms of an invested capital for Aarti Drugs, that would be the ideal strategy in my opinion. Similarly for Laurus Labs, I think the kind of objectives that they have ramped up with CDMO specifically, I think has been one of the biggest drivers for Laurus, and completely integrated model ensures that the EBITDA margins and return ratios remain extremely strong. So EBITDA margins to the tune of 25%, ROEs around 22-23%. You can't ask for more. But I think partially booking your profits, conserving a little bit of your capital, and then probably riding on if you come at lower levels, I think would be the ideal strategy.
All right, fair point there, though we do have some more details. What we don't have is the number of shares that Suman holds. We have the prices. Aarti Drugs is at 912. So making a bit of loss out there, but at the top of the stock price. And we saw Laurus Labs, the purchase was at 309, the stock again at 336. So we need to know whether it's pre-split, pre-bonus, or is it a recent purchase. So let's see where it goes. For a big mover like this, important to know when they entered, and is it at the bottom of the cycle or the top. Be that as it may, we have another query coming in from a viewer in Kerala, T. Arakyunantan. He's got 5,500 shares of Bharat 22 ETF at 36 odd rupees. And Mayuresh, your thoughts on PSU stocks as a whole, and in that the Bharat 22 ETF?
So I think the objective for entering Mangalam, the ETF, would have been long-term investing, right? So if he's having that objective in place, and what the ETF has probably done is pulled a lot of these PSU undertakings into its fold. So I think if the long-term objective is there, he can very well hold on to that. It has come off quite significantly, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I think the longer-term objective in terms of the capital actions that take place, dividends which come out and which will come out plentifully for all these PSUs this financial year in lieu of falling revenues, I think there can be some added benefit in terms of dividend payouts.